my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host, a very good friend, is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to all listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, we are going back to 1991. This is a Patreon pick. Our good friend Timothy has picked this one, Dave. It stars the action king, in his own words, by the way. I'm not saying that myself. He does star a few people. Joe Ciampa, Jeremy Orbach, William Forsythe, but more importantly, Dave, it stars Mr. Steven Bullshido Seagal. So this one is out for justice. Now, Dave, have you seen this before we reviewed today?
So I must admit, all of these Seagal movies sort of blend into one mush for me, so I can't say for certain. I'm going to err on the side of caution and say I haven't, because there's some ridiculous scenes in this that I'm sure I would remember. But I do remember when Seagal came through, you know, and he was supposed to be this new martial art action hero. And even from the 90s, I just never bought him at all. And I think, you know, we've done a recording that should hopefully be coming out soon. In fact, by the time this comes out, it might even be out. But I did a recording with Dan on Spider Dan and the Secret Boars, and we covered a couple of Jackie Chan movies. So we did Drunken Master and Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. And for me, those martial arts action scenes are slightly ridiculous looking back now. You know, it is choreographed dancing. You know, and someone who's done a bit of MMA and just fucking pin them to the floor and start beating the crap out of them. But it is athletic, it is impressive, you know, and at the time when I was watching that as a kid, thought it was all, you know, fairly realistic. But I just never bought into, like, where is the martial arts in this Seagal movie that I'm watching now? And why am I hearing about this bloke who looks fucking old and is clearly balding but has got a ponytail? You know, there was nothing I could get behind with Seagal. So I've always had a little bit of like a bafflement with the love that Seagal got at the time. But when all the stuff started coming out about the, you know, some of the stories, some of the facts, and they didn't line up, like he talks about going to Japan and training under the master of Aikido. I can't remember what the name is, but turns out, you know, he died several years earlier before Seagal got to Japan. So it's like, how did that happen? But he'd worked for the CIA and like it just all this nonsense. Chris, now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, he's got ADHD. Clearly.
Yeah.
I think that's it. He just, you know, does a little bit of something and then moves on. I mean, the thing is, he's a big fucker, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually matter whether it's a martial arts style, whether it's fucking wrestling, boxing, whatever. He's going to do all right because he's just a big, imposing fucker. And hair seems to have grown back over time, by the way. But yeah, anyway. So I think I'm pretty sure I haven't watched this one. I definitely watched, we covered Under Siege before, hadn't we? I've definitely seen that one. But I've seen other ones where he's supposed to be this kind of cop character. And yeah, I just haven't bought him at all from day one. But how about yourself, Chris?
So it's funny, you know, with Above the Law, or I know it as Nico, probably you do, from being a kid, I always saw the trailer in Nico. There's a crash in I think it's like a Ferrari or maybe even a Corvette. There's something happens in the trailer and it always stuck with me. It's like Nico, and he's this cop. And I remember seeing Seagal thinking, wow, yeah, I've got to watch. And I never watched it. I never watched these movies. I think the first movie I watched was probably Under Siege, and that was more for Eric Lady out Dave, and obviously not Tommy Lee Jones, because he's fucking terrible. But but mainly for that, the birthday cake scene and all that. And I'd never seen him, but it was probably one of the most watched trailers that I had when I used to rent out these martial arts movies, because he was always on there in Nico. It was never called Above the Law, as far as I remember, in the UK. I always remember it's Nico. My friends watched, he's great, he's solid, he's really good, this Seagal. So it's sort of one of the movies just never got round to watching. And then I think as I got to the stage where I could go and rent my own videos, it had passed by then, because it was like, I'm really into, I was into me Van Damme movies and stuff. So I think with him, and there's a great story about Gene LaBelle, who's one of the stunt guys on the stunt coordinator. He's been in a few movies we've done, and he's the master judo expert, 10th degree, red belt, everything. He trained Ronda Rousey. This is the movie where the famous story where he shits his pants. He gets him in a chokehold.
Allegedly.
Says, I can get out of the chokehold. And everyone stood there. A bit like the Bruce Lee scene in, what's that bloody...
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it's like that. Everyone's watching, and he knocks him unconscious, and he shits himself. So it is a true story, which he's called like LaBelle a scumbag, and everyone else. There's loads of witnesses said no, it's true. He just couldn't get out of it. But the Seagal says a story, and there's another story about him sweeping him, and watching Seagal's martial arts, because he was, Dave, the first Aikido dojo outside Japan, Dave. He was the first non-Japanese Aikido master as well. But again, it's all legible. When you watch him do his demonstrations, it is bullshido, isn't it? It's just they run at him, and he's got a certain choreographed move they do. They know they're going to fall. I used to do it. I'm sure you do the same. When you're doing a drill on somebody and they're doing something, like a cat, or they're doing a move. When we did like that bloody Krav Maga stuff, sometimes it was almost like choreographed dancing, until someone's like hitting you on the head with a baseball bat. You had a mask on, and you were like, oh yeah, none of that training is really going to work. But you watch him, and he's there. He's got this massive, and it's not to body shape. He's got this huge belly now, and you've got these young fit lad running at him. And I've seen him do training with UFC fighters like Anderson Silva. To be fair, Anderson Silva beat Vitor Belfort by doing a straight up kick right down the middle. And Seagal's there at the UFC events. I think I've mentioned it before. And Lyoto Machida did the same move on Randy Couture, where they said that a normal boxing stances, you've got this gap in between your fists where you protect your chin, but a kick can go right up the middle. And Anderson Silva did the kick and dropped Vitor Belfort on his ass, and it was actually Seagal's move. He became a trainer to some of the UFC guys, but then they showed him doing a bit of one-on-one, like sparring with a UFC guy, and he's doing all this hand slapping, and you can see the UFC guy, he's like a Brazilian guy, just wants to chin him, and he's like trying to be, because there's one where, going off the, Van Damme did it with another UFC fighter, Cody Garbrandt, and they're doing like kicks, and Van Damme's showing kicks, like, because George St. Pierre, who's the champion, loved Van Damme, he kicks like him, karate is his base. And fucking Van Damme only kicks his Cody Garbrandt in the head. We're supposed to do like a demo, and this lad's a proper hothead, and he wants to kill him. And Van Damme's like, oh, I'm sorry. It was only a few years ago, but he's still got the moves and that. But yeah, for me, get back to you, I've never seen it, but it's this Seagal like phenomenon for me that I love talking about, because this guy is the epitome of, in his own head, he is the hardest man ever, and he's Vladimir Putin's fucking best mate as well, isn't he? He's fucking Russian, bloody thinking a dickhead. Like, say, that carpet he's got on his head is ridiculous. In Nico, he barely had his hair in Nico, and I think in Out for Justice, it's probably still his hair, but after that, we go full on fucking Scotch guard, don't we? And it's not wrong if you want to get your hair done. I'd do the same, but I'm not thinking, but this guy is an absolute scumbag, and knowing like the girl from ER who plays like his sort of love interest, the call girl, and she said, like, he said stuff to her like, come here and show me some respect on other sets, because she was in ER for years. She was George Clooney's love interest, and it's like, the guy, everything I've heard about him since, mate, he's a scumbag to women, everything. But for the movie, I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, I think I'm glad in some respects I didn't watch his movies when I was a kid, because you not have a bias against him, but you're thinking, yeah, he's not a nice guy. And I think he comes across in a lot of the movies. Even now, with the hindsight of watching him, you're like, yeah, you've got total control over these movies, because I think everyone was shit scared of him on set. all like the directors and that. He's just 6'4", 6'5". He's a very intimidating man. I can imagine some little 5'8" director who's probably never done any sort of combat thinking, fucking hell, I've got to change it. So he runs roughshod over most of his movies, Seagal, doesn't he? Which it shows, to be fair, in a lot of it. And for Sive, who's the baddie, Richie, he said he was upstaging him, so he cut him out a lot of the film, rewrote stuff, and I'm like, fucking hell, he's a narcissistical wanker. But I am looking forward to doing this movie because there's some classic bits to talk about.
Yeah, just before we get into the movie, and you talk about the bullshido thing, and there's no doubt that there is a talent or a skill to what he's doing. I'm not saying Aikido is completely useless, but there's a brilliant bit of footage. Have you ever seen it where there's like a presenter or something, and he's showing a bit of Aikido. He's saying to Mike Tyson, saying, just grab my arms, and then so he grabs his sort of forearms or wrists, and then the presenter's showing him that by moving his arms in a particular way, he's kind of overpowering Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson stood there and he's like, I don't get it. Like, oh yeah, and the guy's like, yeah, but look, you can get like an 85-year-old master who can do this. And Mike Tyson's like, who's grabbing your arms like this?
Yeah.
And he wasn't saying it to be a dick. He Tyson, fucking before his professional boxing days, I'm sure, had a few tussles on the street, and he's like, this is nonsense. Like, you're not. Yeah, it seems like, manipulating the body and stuff, but and it seems impressive, but it's not realistic in any way, shape or form. And a lot of the older footage that I've seen at Seagal, it's just people running at him, but with no purpose. Well, the only purpose is you're running at them to get clotheslined.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not windmilling. You're not going in with a flying kick or anything. And so it is absolute nonsense. And you do, if you go to YouTube and just type in bullshido, some of the fucking demonstrations, and I'm thinking, it's not just the masters. Like, why are the students playing up to this? Like, so like, you've got some fucking big old fat American guy or something, and then he just, he sort of pushes the air, and then the students are like, oh, and sort of fall down, and it's like, why are you doing this? So, yeah, it's just utter nonsense, and there's nothing I enjoy more than seeing. There's one Aikido guy I saw, and he went up against some kickboxer or something.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it? He's got the Seagal ponytail and stuff, and he's giving it all the, this is the way, it manipulates the body, and you get people in a wrist lock or whatever. And the guy just comes and absolutely boots him in the leg, and he's like, oh. It's fucking brilliant. I love it.
I love it. I think Aikido is the sort of thing, it's a wrist thing and it's a control. You're using that person's momentum. I agree with you. It's not completely useless, because I think like a doorman or someone like that, when someone's up close being a dick, you could get someone in a hole like a police do. You have these holds, 100% that would work. But you've also, like you said, when you're watching the demos, they are willing participants. They're not coming at him trying to kick or punch him in the head. They're coming knowing that he's going to grab their wrist or do a judo move and flip him or whatever. Yeah. And so that's when he falls down. But I do think there is merit. I'm sure he could break my fucking wrist if he really wanted to with some of the moves. But you've got to be willing to offer your wrist, haven't you, first? You've got to get to see your wrist. So that's the difference. But yeah. And you're right in this, there isn't any real martial arts in it. But I always say about Seagal, and I find it unbelievable, is the stunt coordinators and stunt men, stunt women, they must be ill and injured as fuck after being with him, because he absolutely just fucking levers people. And that's not, manipulation with the cameras, but you can see some of the falls and some of the stuff he's doing. He's just fucking lobbing people on the floor, and you're like, you're just a bit of a bully, really, I think. So anyway, I'm excited to get into this one, Dave. I am.
Well, let's get into the trailer.
In a city where crime rules the streets, Justice wears a ponytail and whispers like he's on dial-up internet.
Meet Steven Seagal. It's Gino Felino. Yes, his real name. He sounds like a discount wine, but it's actually Brooklyn's angriest cop.
When his partner's murdered by a coked-up lunatic with the world's worst henchman, Gino doesn't fill out paperwork. He fills entire restaurants with broken chairs and unconscious extras.
He's out for justice, and by justice I mean we've been mumbling threats, slapping people with baguettes, and disarming people with the power of bad haircuts. The baguette scene's a classic one. This is when I don't read these scripts. I love it, the baguette scene. Anyway, carry on.
Watch Seagal wristlock his way through half of Brooklyn, armed with only a pool cue, a Brooklyn accent, questionable, that arrives 3 scenes late, and an ego bigger than his trousers.
It's 90 minutes of pure Seagal mayhem. Bar fights, kitchen fights, grocery fights. Basically, if it sells food, he's punching someone in it.
And when he's not fighting, he's delivering philosophy, like Aristotle. If Aristotle was into meatballs and threatening shopkeepers.
Co-starring William Forsythe as Richie. Feeling so sweaty you can smell like cholesterol through the screen.
That's true, actually. The heart attack waiting to happen.
Together, they'll settle the score, one awkward arm lock at a time.
Out for justice, because when Seagal's hungry, somebody's going through a windscreen.
It's so true.
Gino Felino is an NYPD detective from Brooklyn who has strong ties with his neighborhood. Gino and his partner Bobby wait to bust up a multi-million-dollar drug deal, but Gino sees a pimp violently assaulting one of his girls and intervenes. Shortly afterward, Richie murders Bobby, shooting him multiple times in broad daylight in front of his wife and his 2 children. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, I've got to say, Timothy's pick's an absolute classic, because this is 90 minutes of pure Seagal, just chewing, eating, whatever you want to call scenes, Dave. It is fantastic. It is ridiculous, but also, like, this is the sweet spot. This is, like, for me, it's the 1991 sweet spot. So much so, Dave, like Timothy mentioned when he'd messaged you, Annie, about like what he wants to do, and he said, like, there's a 4-movie run of Seagals, and I think this is the culmination. And I've got to go back and watch Nico now, Dave, because it is ridiculous. This Seagal is just taking liberties from the start. I mean, Gino Felino, he must have made that name up. And I love the fact he's not even Italian, but his heritage is Dutch, Jewish, English, the Irish. It's not, and
whatever it needs to be.
It needs to be. He is. But I think, like, the way the movie starts, you've got the cliched pimp, and he gets out of his Cadillac. He's got his expert. He's just slapping this girl in the middle of daytime, and nobody's doing anything. It's like this sort of fish market, like industrial, like, you know, the food place is there. And then he gets out, and then Bobby's like, oh, he's off again. You know, this multi-million-dollar fucking drug deal is gone because he's now kicking the shit out of him. And that pimp's like, I know I'm going to get your wife in your door, or whatever he said, or your son. And he's like, and then he calls him Gino, and he levers him. And you're right about throwing him through a windscreen. Throws him through a windscreen. That's definitely police brutality. The poor girl's pregnant. She's like getting slapped around. She's not got a bruise on her face, by the way, though. He's chinned her. The pimp's chinned her about 8 times. Proper punches. He gets out, and Bobby's there, and the police are there, and they arrest him. Honestly, Dave, it's a magnificent start to the movie. And when Richie takes Bobby out of his family, I'm like, well, everyone knows who he is. He's so distinguishable, this Richie. He's got a centre pie and a little fucking porno tash. He doesn't look Italian. Like you said, he looks like a heart attack. He's got a big flash and back overcoat on. And I'm like, where are we going with this? Because I'd never seen this before. I've seen bits of it, definitely the fight scenes in the bars, but I was like, where are we going with this? This is amazing. So yeah, brilliant start to the movie.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. And I'm with you. I'm not on the Seagal train, right? I'll put that straight out there. However, this movie is fucking entertaining. I mean, you talk about the pimp there. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this is 91, but it feels like 1971. It feels like just the outlandish clothes, like the pimp clothes and everything. Just everything's like a caricature. And like you say, a bit of police brutality there. I mean, there's very little martial arts, I would say, to speak of. There's a few bits, but mostly it's sort of like just grabbing people and pushing them over. And hitting them with baguettes and stuff, or doing some demonstration with pool cues. So, Chris, what about when he turns up with the fucking beret and wife beater sleeveless top on?
That beret. Brilliant. And he's got his bands around his neck, and it's like, fuck off. That is, I wouldn't mind if he was ripped like Stallone or Arnie, but he's got fucking hot dog arms on him, and he's there just fucking. It's like,
oh yeah, I mean, you mentioned hot dogs. We'll come on to the hot dogs later.
No, but you just like it is purely self-indulgent. Like, it's fucking nonsense in it. It is just every scene he has, and like the way we record this, like I always put a stupid name, and I've called myself Seagal Brando because all he's done is he's watched The Godfather, and when he's talking to anybody, he comes right down and he talks like this. But he thinks he's fucking Don Corleone. He's trying to be like a philosopher. You can see he's written some of the dialogue because you're right. What I found bizarre is that's because you got the berry on that is you've got his ex-wife is there, allowed in the crime scene, talking to him. You know what I mean? She's got, he's got the son, and he's like, oh, you'll have to come and get the son. Bobby's been shot. He gets to the crime scene, and she's allowed to go, oh, what's happened then? It's like, no, you wouldn't be allowed anywhere in that fucking area, would you? But she turns up again. Richie's on the loose. He could take her out. Richie's a family friend. They grew up together. It's Dave. There is so many cliches used in this movie, but I'm like you. He's so entertaining. It's entertainingly shit, but it is also brilliant for all them reasons. I can't explain why I enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah. It's so bad. It's good, honestly.
It is. I mean, it's not quite to Samurai Cop levels, but I mean, it ain't fucking far off. And you have to think, this is only a few years after. I mean, one of my favourites of all time is Bloodsport, even though it was based on a story that was supposed to be, real life, but was absolute bullshit. And I just feel with the Seagal thing, his whole aura, just everything about him, it's all bullshit for me. And you can tell, though, he's fucking blacked his way into this. And there's no way you've got professional writers on this.
No.
Like you say, he's clearly made up like a lot of his dialogue. And he hasn't put much work into doing his fucking Italian Brooklyn accents either. But just all of it goes into this mess, which is just fucking entertaining. You mentioned about the hot dog arms, but when he jumps a bit later, he jumps behind the bar and he's giving some sort of speech. And he's like, and whose hot dog is this?
Yeah.
He's up a random hot dog and throws it on the bar.
You're brilliant.
You're making this fucking serious speech.
Fantastic.
You just pick up this random fucking hot dog that's sat there behind the bar. But
I think as well, like you say, there's loads of things that are out of context. The hot dog, because he cut, like, there's half an hour of the movie cut, so a lot of Richie stuff, there was a bit more of a backstory. So there is just some random stuff going on. So what I don't get is, like, with Richie, so when Nico, when fucking Gino fucking DeCampo, whatever he's called, Gino Felino, when he goes to see the Dons and he comes in and it's pure like, yeah, I've got respect for you, Don, and all this and that, like, yeah, Gino. And I'm like, but hang on, you're the mafia. Gino's an Italian kid who's grew up. He's a cop who's probably busted all your, like, your thing, but he's not a bent cop. So why would you have respect for him? If it was like, we find out Bobby later is a bent cop, then fair enough, because you're turning a blind eye and everything. But Gino's probably put half of their families behind bars. But for some reason, he's untouchable. So that's where it's weird. And there's a couple of crime families in there. Richie works under them, and Richie's now a crackhead, which doesn't really make sense. You see him doing a crack pipe from nowhere, and then the rest of the gang are like, no, Richie, don't do that. I mean, once he's killed Bobby, some poor woman's just like, move your car, gets her out, shoots her in the head. But as he shoots her in the head, she fucking belly flops out of the vehicle and ends up across the fucking door as he shot her in the head. But just takes one for the team. So it's not like, and then Richie is sort of, you think he's going to shoot every person who like has a crossword with him. And he is basically as loose as possible, innit? He doesn't suit the thing, but really, this guy should be on an absolute rampage to make it more appropriate, if that makes sense. Like, he shoots a poor woman, so then you're thinking everyone's going to get it. And he doesn't always kill everybody, does he? It's just bizarre. Like, the whole pretense of the movie is fantastic.
Yeah, but again, it's just, I'm always impressed when, writers go deep into research of something, and then just for one line or one little throwaway thing, but then the research something really deeply. This clearly hasn't been. You've got this idea, like you say, the whole, Gino's not playing like a crooked cop or anything. And like you say, though, you've got this respect from the Don and whatever, but it's almost like Batman, isn't it? Batman's a fucking billionaire, but he just runs around beating up poor people. Whereas he's a fucking billionaire. He could actually do a lot of good in the world, but instead he puts on a fucking cowl and cape and just goes out and beats the low-level criminals. Whereas, like, surely just take out the fucking Don. It just, But if you just, that's what I say about Seagal having the ADHD. I'm fucking convinced of it, because he'll just, learn a little bit about subject, and then he's the fucking expert in it. Then so, ridiculous. He's just got this whole fucking idea. But yeah, it is entertaining, and honestly, I think the bit that really turned me around, I mean, when he turns up in that fucking ridiculous beret, I was like, oh, fuck off. I was like, what is going on here? But I wasn't bought in at that point. But when he's having the fight in the deli, and like I say, he's mostly pushing people over, and he starts slapping someone with a baguette, I'm like, oh, this is absolute nonsense. I'm fucking in.
It's amazing. That's fucking brilliant. He just levers wherever he goes. They all fighting one-on-one, don't they? Nobody just comes with a gun. When he goes in that bar, they're going, your guns and your badge. That guy's there, and he goes into Richie's brother's bar, and it's like, it's just because of the gun and the badge. And I'm thinking, hang on. They've all got guns. They've probably got machine guns, everything. And Gino's there fucking wrecking the bar and he smashes stuff up. Then he takes all the bullets out and they're like, let's go. And he's picked up a pool ball at this point. And then he just starts levering everyone. If they'd all gone at him at once, Dave, they'd have caned him. But it wouldn't work, would it? It's not like going to work, really. But I'm just like, it's ridiculous. We watch these martial arts movies and we've, Van Damme, whatever, but I've never met, and you can see it on the screen, it's not just me because you might not like someone. His ego, he will not get punched by anybody. He takes one to the back of the leg, doesn't he, by a pool cue or something, and that's the only, there's about 15 blokes he levers, and that is the only fucking strike he takes in the whole movie, pretty much, other than the bullet. He doesn't get beat up by anybody. And I know The Rock has a clause where he can't ever lose a fight, but I think Seagal he invented not losing a fight in a movie, because I've never seen him get in jeopardy in any movie that I've watched. He might be later on, but he's never wants to show himself vulnerable, does it? He's so bizarre.
You know what? I hadn't made that connection, but I think that's probably another thing that jars with me about his movies. That, you know, conversely, I say, well, one of the things I love about the Jackie Chan movies is, you know, he really does take a few hits, and, you know, he'll get beaten up a bit, but, you know, he'll get his own kicks back in or hits or whatever. Yeah, I never noticed that, but he doesn't take anything, does he? And again, one of the other, just jumping around a bit, because there's no real fucking story to this thing anyway.
No.
But going back to the deli, when he, you know, pushes a few blokes over, and the deli store owner has a gun on him. He's literally holding a gun to him. he almost uses the force. He just sort of walks over to him and then grabs the gun.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Ridiculous.
I'm like, are we supposed to believe that was like Mr. Miyagi levels of just fucking quick hands or something? But we can see it. It's not that quick. And if he wanted to shoot you, he'd have fucking shot you.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many just utterly ridiculous moments in this movie.
Honestly, I love it for the same thing though, Dave, because I think, like, how has he got away? Because it wasn't his movie per se. He's a producer, but how has he got away with this? Because the movie makes no sense when, like, this Richie's going around New York and he seems to be driving in the same spots, but nobody can catch him. But then he's like planting little seeds for Gino, and he's sort of like little breadcrumbs, and like Gino again. I mean, these are some of the strangest scenes in the movie. So when Gino goes to see his ex-wife, and that is Seagal, all the stuff I've read about, he's a misogynist, this wanker, and he's so inappropriate with the women. He really literally had his own casting couch for a lot of these young girls in the movies. He's an absolute wanker. But you can see when she's like, yeah, I love you. And he won't say I love you back. And I'm like, that is Seagal in the proper male chauvinistic thing of, you know, just to look at as if say, yeah, I know. He won't even say I love you back. She goes, I love you, Gino. Is this when we're back together? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. You want for life? Yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like the story. Now, bear in mind, he's telling his wife, who he's supposed to be with, he's got a 10-year-old son. He's telling his wife stories he's never told her about his fucking dad going out, and then and it's like, and she's never heard any of these fucking stories, but he's delivering it like he's Brando. He's literally like he's ripped off The Godfather when they're gone. When Marlon Brando's talking to Michael and he's telling stories and everything, he's like that. He's like in Cannonball Run 2 when Dom DeLuise plays like, you know, Don Corleone as well, and he's with it, and his cadence of his voice is just Brando, but he's trying to tell him we've got this like Italian Sicilian violin sort of music in the background, and I'm like, you are the big, as you said, he's the biggest blackguard going, this fucker, and there's no way after that cut, if someone clapped that fucking acting, I'd have just said to him, right, get out, just get out straight away, because it's fantastic when he's trying to deliver this dialogue. Anything over 2 or 3 lines, he's got the Stallone, the Keanu Reeves level of, don't say any more than that. Just be mean and moody, say a few things. That's the best thing to do with you. Because when he starts acting, he's terrible, but also brilliant to watch.
Yeah. Like I say, it's just, you know, oh, hey, I can do a bit of acting, you know, and I do a bit of Aikido, and yeah, I was in the CIA, and I trained the Navy SEALs. Just, listen, Mr. fucking ADHD, just calm it down, will you? You know, there's no way you can do all that shit. But some of the dialogue in this is almost like The Room levels of dialogue. I mean,
yes.
I was just looking through now one of the things when he meets up with Patty, who had a bit of an Eva Mendes look about her. I was like, how you doing, Patty? And she's like, I can still get it wet. How about you, Gino?
It's ridiculous.
but like, no one acknowledges No one acknowledges that ridiculous line.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, I had to double take. I was like, what the hell? It's ridiculous. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so I just, it is utter nonsense. And even the killing at the end with random fucking, I don't know if he's going for a bit of a Jackie Chan thing there, because one of the other things I like about Jackie Chan is the way he'll kind of take items that are around him and make use of them in some way. And like fucking Seagal or Gino, he's killing off Richie with household kitchen appliances and eventually with a fucking corkscrew.
Yeah.
Like, just randomly all these different things and yeah, just again another bizarre killing. But I mean, I've got to mention, I sort of mentioned it in passing, but the fucking pool cue demonstration. How many takes do you reckon that took? And again, I do feel like it is, you know, at gradings and stuff like that, you'll get people doing the forms and whatever. And I feel like it was almost like that. Like, oh, look, you know, and probably at one point you miss and like catch someone's thumb or something. But it's just such an unnecessary and overly long sequence. I was like, what is going on here? Because there was no real kind of conclusion to it either.
No, it just like, he's on his knees at one point doing it, isn't he? And I'm like, okay, so what is this? Is this like a cheerleading thing? Are we under some sort of dance? What are we doing? He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, this is like, you know, the year of the stitch up, and we've had different movies, and some have been terrible, and some you think, yeah, we're going to watch it. But honestly, this has been glorious to watch, because I think with Seagal, he obviously, he's 3 or 4 movies into his career. He has definitely been able to impose himself on this movie, and that's what I find ridiculous. Is like, he has been able to just say, we're doing this, and nobody's questioned it. And I honestly, it baffles my head, like, how much he gets away with in this movie, because he's an absolute arsehole. He's not a likable character, I don't think, either. The motives are not really there, are they? Timothy's picked an absolute storm in this week. I love it.
Like I say, it's going back to that time when, you know, Frank Dukes can fucking blag everyone about this made-up fucking Far Eastern secret event called the Kumite. You know, and Seagal's done the same, I think. You know, he's just blagged his arse into being this movie action hero. And you've got to admire the hustle in a way, but yeah, I'm glad this has been picked, because I'd have probably never picked this up. I do have a bit of a blind spot for Seagal stuff, but like yourself, I'm probably going to have to go back and watch the others, because if the others get anywhere near this in terms of pure unintentional comedy, like, I'm in for a good watch, I think.
Oh, honestly, I'm going to watch Nico. I mean that, because I'm just like, I've got to watch it. I know, because they always say about he's running, he hardly runs in this. He's almost like Diggity Jason or what, Mike Myers. He just strolls around, doesn't he? He gets a shot.
Like fucking Phoebe from Friends.
What about to show his human side as well? Picking that dog up in the middle of the German Shepherd puppy.
And he's like random dog, yeah.
A random dog, and then he sees the car, and you think, well, that's going to come back later. But it's the fact that he's like trying to show this human side with the dog, and at one point he starts laughing, going, oh, I forgot about you. And like near the end of the movie, and he's laughing his cock off, and I'm like, that is weird. And then obviously after he's like beat Richie, and like you said, that he's used every kitchen utensil possible. It feels like you said about that, it's like a Jackie Chan movie where he takes a pistol and he uses different weapons at his disposal. That's what he's done. But at the end, he meets the guy who's dumped the dog, and the guy goes, oh, she a tough guy? And he goes, yeah, I am, and kicks him in the bollocks. And I'm like, what was the point of that? What really was the point of that? Like, honestly, fantastic. Like, just completely terrible acting, but entertaining. And I just cannot understand why. I just can't understand why, because I really was watching it thinking, this is like, I would have loved this as a kid. I would have loved this. This would have been in one of my top. Here we go, Dave. I've got a top 50 movies in my top 10, but I say my top 50 movies of all time, especially action. This probably would have been up there. Honestly, it would have been. It's ridiculous, but just fantastic as well.
I think I'd have probably watched it and enjoyed it. I still think from day one, I always had this thing against Seagal because I think people had sort of built him up as this martial arts action hero, and I could never see it. I could never see the martial arts bit. Like say, getting someone in a wrist lock, or fucking pushing someone over. It's not the same that I was used to in like the Hong Kong Kung Fu stuff. But I think I'd have definitely enjoyed it, and I'd have just lapped up all the nonsense. I mean, I'm not sure I'd have fucking had the beret and sleeveless top. but now, going back, it's just pure like early 90s nonsense. It's almost 80s, isn't it? And I like to say the way the pimp's dressed up is going back to the 70s. But yeah, this has been something else to go back through this one.
Been amazing, mate. Amazing. Absolutely loved it. So should we get into our scores?
Let's go.
So, Timothy, thank you so much for that. Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, it caught me off guard, this. I thought, this is going to be terrible, but I absolutely loved it. Seagal, you've just got to forgive whatever he's doing. He thinks that he's some proper, like, Oscar-winning actor at certain points. Then he's nails, as I said, the fact that he's untouchable and unbeatable to any weapon, and, other than one bullet he takes, because he won't put where the bulletproof vest that the cop gives him bit earlier is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
He just sort of runs it off, doesn't he? The bullet.
I've got bullets. It's okay. Yay, it's fine. So it's amazing, honestly. Like, it's such a good movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm going to put this, Dave, in Hill Valley. I was almost putting in Pleasantville, but it is Seagal at his probably best and worst, and that sounds silly, but when you've got that mix, it just makes for a proper early 90s. It's like a late 80s really, but an early 90s action movie. So yeah, great movie. So what about yourself?
So what I'd have to say is, again, this hasn't won me over in terms of treating or seeing Seagal as this martial arts action hero. I think the dialogue is terrible, the story is utter nonsense, the costuming, like I say, the fucking beret just cracked me up, but fucking loved it. Like, and especially talking through it again with yourself, like, it just brought me such joy to watch it, to be honest. Not for the reasons that the filmmakers were putting it together for, but in that samurai cop way where you just like, this is utter nonsense. Like, there's so many bits, the pool cue bit, the fucking slapping someone with a baguette, that was the bit that brought me in, the fucking sleeveless beret look, the fucking, and who's our dog is this? Like, just... So I'm going to go one better, to be honest. I'm going to put it in Pleasantville. Just the amount of joy it just brought me, and it is utter nonsense. But and I could understand as well if people watch it and not just as so bad it's good. I could understand if people watch this and genuinely enjoy it for the action that it is. But it is fucking nonsense, but it is so. It's so nostalgic for this time as well. This kind of 80s / early 90s action movie, straight to video job. Just really enjoyed it this week.
No, it's good, brilliant. So Dave, it's my pick, and I have been and ahhing what I'm going to pick. I didn't know what to pick. I've got a few up my sleeve. So the year of the stitch up. But I'm going to close out, Dave. I'm actually going to close out a trilogy of movies. Now, you might not think that it's a trilogy, Dave, but it is a trilogy because we have covered the first movie, which was actually in 1981. Yes, and the second movie was in 1983. It stars Chris Phelps, is Man Crush, the man who, and this is the first two movies did, Dave, the man with the greatest moustache ever, Mr. Burt Reynolds. However, Dave, in the trilogy movie, he's not in that, Dave. He's not in that. Now, some know it as the 1989 movie Speed Zone, which is what it was when it released in America. But I know it, Dave, because this movie stars the amazing Mr. John Candy. And that is about the only actor I know in the movie, Dave. This one is called Cannonball Fever, and I can't wait to cover it because he's absolutely terrible. And it stars Eugene Levy as well, actually. It's John Candy, Eugene Levy. But it is the Cannonball Run trilogy, Dave. So this one is Cannonball Fever, and I can't wait for you to hate every single minute of 94 minutes of this movie.
I think I've seen some clips of this. If it wasn't this one, it was maybe some. I don't know if they starred together in something else, like John Candy and Eugene Levy. But I think, this will be a tough watch. I think this one. So, I mean, this is why most people think of just Cannonball Run 1 and 2, isn't it?
Yes.
But will it be as bad? I mean, you've gone for a few. You went for Smokey and the Bandit 3 as well, didn't you? So, you're closing out the trilogies.
We haven't done Smokey and the Bandit 2, actually, I don't think. I should really done that, but this is awful, Dave. 3.9 on IMDb. Oof. This is a terrible movie. So this is a stitch-up of the highest order. I can't wait for this. I really can't wait. But no, brilliant stuff. And I'll just see how much you hate me. I'm waiting for the message for Dave. But big thank you to Timothy. Thanks, everyone, as always, for supporting us. If you want to email us, the VHSStrikesBack@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, at VHSStrikesBack. If you do want to support us, please go over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So, the roll call of honour and a big thank you to Nick, Greg, Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Tim, Matt, Hales, Ken, Lucky Lulu Green, Herbs, Jack, Matt, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys, for all your support. Amazing stuff. You may not like me after this week's pick, but I can't wait for next week. So, Dave, what musical number have we got this week?
Well, one of the other things around the enigma of Steven Seagal is obviously his musical career as well. So, he does a bit of the blues. And I remember stumbling across this song called Strut back in the day, where Seagal goes full-on Jamaican accent in this reggae song. And I just thought it was one of the most ridiculous, funny songs, but actually weirdly catchy as well, if I'm honest. But, don't want to admit that. But so I've gone full-on fucking David Brent, Equality Street for this.
You've got to. Can't wait for this.
So here we go. This one is called Out for Brooklyn Justice. Starts off a bit quiet.
Oh, I love that picture. No one can see the picture. It's Seagal in the picture. That it looks like that The Dark Knight. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Come on now. I'm just going to get you cancelled pretty quick.
Just imagine Seagal in the Equality Street video.
Unbelievable. Or somebody singing jamming in a pub, David.
Gino's gonna bring bad guys to their knees. Cue ball in hand, looking cool as ice. One wrist lock later, they remember my advice. Stay with the monk, being a spy is true. To the Navy SEALs, what they never knew. One down the street, no
oh my God.
I kid or magic still dropping this man.
It's unbelievable. Hey, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Out for justice, out for justice. I'm asking all over the town. Out for justice, out for justice. She knows gonna take you down. Mama's so big, but they don't compete.
One of your best,
Every
dude.
fight I win, my hair is looking at me. They chose no bunch, then they hit the floor. Try that in the cage, you won't last no more. Brooklyn Street, no my black coat style. Who disarm a shot and still flash a smile. Osborne, Richie, they all done fail. Gino's justice, he don't ever fail.
This is unbelievable. You've outdone yourself for this, mate.
I had a lot of fun putting this one together, to be honest.
Brilliant.
I fully channeled the David Brentism.
He's got feels the UB40, everything.
Yeah.
I'm asking all over the town. Out for justice, out for justice. She knows gonna take you down.
Or a good tune, or a good beat.
It is, yeah. And I always love the bass with the reggae stuff.
Three guys while I sip my tea. Catch a bullet midair just for me. Sweep this street in a single throw. Us about Richie, everybody know. Justice, out for justice. I'm asking all over the town. Out for justice, out for justice. She knows gonna take you down.
Unbelievable. What a song.
Like you say, the whole UB40 thing went on for years, didn't it? In the 80s.
Justice, out for justice. I'm asking all over the town. Out for justice, out for justice. She knows gonna take you down.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She's amazing. What a song.
Yeah. So I think that's a one and done in terms of my reggae career.
Yeah, brilliant. You don't need to peak there, Dave. You've peaked. That was brilliant.
Yeah, like I say, I start off in the same place where I'm like, where am I going to start with this? But I started thinking about that Strut song, and I just couldn't shake it. And it only works if you get fully into that David Brent mode. Just imagine Seagal as almost David Brent, but there we go. But yeah, a tremendous amount of fun. So thanks so much for this, Timothy. I don't know if we saw it in the same way that you might have done, but been absolutely great. Just a perfect sort of so bad it's good movie. But Chris, thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's annoying.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go. All right. Ding, ding. Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Come on, ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid. Yeah, maybe you stupid. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you at 6 miles.
I must break you.